start with a hard-hitting statement. Most people think intelligence wins arguments. They're dead wrong. Power doesn't belong to the smartest. It belongs to the most strategic. By the end of this speech, you'll know 6 rules that let you anticipate, control, and outmaneuver anyone without them ever realizing it. Encourage action. If you're serious about mastering influence, pause this video and write down one person whose decisions you want to predict, and apply these rules starting today. To truly outsmart anyone, the first and most essential rule is mastering psychological leverage, which means understanding the forces driving human behavior and using that knowledge to anticipate and influence outcomes without force or confrontation. People are rarely fully aware of why they act the way they do. Their decisions are guided by subconscious fears, desires, habits, and insecurities. Observing these patterns closely allows you to predict reactions before they happen, giving you an invisible advantage in any interaction. This requires paying attention not just to what people say, but how they say it, their body language, tone, and the subtle cues that reveal what matters most to them. Once you recognize these motivators, you can shape situations so that the choices you want them to make feel entirely voluntary, as if they are acting on their own insight rather than being influenced. Timing and restraint are critical here. Pushing too hard triggers resistance, while patience allows the influence to unfold naturally. Understanding the context is equally important because the same behavior can have different meanings depending on circumstances, relationship dynamics, and personal history. This skill is not about manipulation in a negative sense, but about strategic foresight, reading the underlying currents of human thought and positioning yourself in alignment with them. By mastering psychological leverage, you can navigate conversations, negotiations, and conflicts with precision, guiding outcomes without overt struggle, making others act in ways that align with your objectives while believing it was their choice. It lays the foundation for all other forms of influence and power because knowing the human mind, its drives, fears, and desires, is the ultimate tool for shaping reality, gaining advantage, and staying several steps ahead of anyone who underestimates the subtle forces that guide their own behavior. The second rule to outsmart anyone is gaining and maintaining an information advantage, because knowledge is not just power. It is the foundation of control. Most people operate in the dark, reacting to situations based on incomplete data, assumptions, or emotions, and this makes them predictable. To stay ahead, you must quietly collect information about people, situations, and environments without drawing attention to yourself. Observe behaviors, patterns, routines, preferences, and even subtle inconsistencies in what they say versus what they do. Information alone is not enough. The real skill lies in how you process and apply it strategically. The advantage comes from connecting dots others miss, anticipating moves before they happen, and preparing your responses in advance. The timing and selectivity of revealing what you know is crucial. Use too much at once, and people may resist or feel manipulated. Reveal too little, and the opportunity is wasted. By controlling the flow of information, both what you know and what others know, you shape perceptions, influence decisions, and create openings that seem natural to those around you. This is especially important in negotiations, conflicts, or competitive environments where a single insight can determine the outcome. Being discreet and subtle ensures that your advantage remains hidden and no one realizes the depth of your awareness until it is too late. The combination of observation, careful analysis, and strategic application allows you to anticipate challenges, exploit opportunities, and remain several steps ahead of anyone trying to outmaneuver you. Absolute power doesn't rely on brute strength or constant confrontation. It relies on knowing what others don't, understanding the landscape, and acting with precision based on insights they cannot access, making you not only unpredictable, but virtually untouchable in any situation. The third rule to outsmart anyone is mastering emotional control, because emotions are the engine that drives most decisions, yet they are also the Achilles heel of nearly everyone. People believe logic governs behavior, but in reality, fear, pride, anger, and desire shape choices far more than reason ever could. To gain absolute power, you must remain calm, detached, and centered, even in high-pressure or provocative situations, because while others react impulsively, you act deliberately. Emotional control does not mean suppressing feelings entirely. It means observing them without letting them dictate your actions. By doing so, you create a space in which you can think clearly, assess risks, and recognize opportunities that others miss in the heat of their reactions. This also allows you to subtly influence others, because people are highly responsive to the emotional cues of those around them. If you remain composed while they are agitated or insecure, your stability becomes a psychological anchor, often causing them to reveal intentions, make concessions, or take actions they otherwise would not. Achieving this requires self-awareness, discipline, and practice, because every human will at some point provoke you, test your patience, or attempt to manipulate your feelings. Anticipating these triggers before they arise is key. By predicting emotional responses in both yourself and others, you can steer situations strategically without overt confrontation. Emotional control amplifies the effectiveness of knowledge and psychological leverage, because without it, even the best insights and observations can be squandered through rash reactions. The ability to act with calm precision while others succumb to their impulses gives you a near unassailable advantage, ensuring that you remain several steps ahead in every interaction. In short, those who master their own emotions while reading the emotions of others turn unpredictability into opportunity, conflict into leverage, and instinct into absolute strategic power. The fourth rule to outsmart anyone is strategic patience, because timing is often more powerful than action itself, and rushing decisions is one of the fastest ways to lose influence. Most people believe that success comes from acting quickly, seizing opportunities as they appear, but real power belongs to those who wait, observe, and move when the conditions are most favorable. Strategic patience requires the ability to step back, detach from immediate impulses, and assess the bigger picture, understanding that the perfect moment to act often presents itself subtly and only once. It is not passivity. It is the deliberate choice to let events unfold while positioning yourself advantageously, so when you do make a move, it carries maximum effect with minimal resistance. This principle works because people who act impulsively expose their intentions, reveal their weaknesses, and make errors that you can anticipate and exploit. By contrast, patience creates leverage. The longer you wait while others rush, the more information you gather, the more predictable their behaviors become, and the more power you accumulate quietly. It also instills a sense of control and calm authority that others unconsciously respect or fear, giving your eventual actions greater impact. Strategic patience is especially critical in negotiations, competitions, or situations where others are emotionally charged, because premature moves can backfire, while well-timed interventions create outcomes that feel inevitable to those involved. Mastering this rule requires discipline, foresight, and the courage to resist societal pressures that equate speed with skill or decisiveness with strength. Those who understand the value of waiting, observing, and acting deliberately gain an almost invisible advantage, turning time into an ally rather than a constraint. In essence, strategic patience transforms observation, knowledge, and emotional control into decisive power by allowing you to act at the moment when your influence is strongest and your opponents are most vulnerable. The fifth rule to outsmart anyone is mastering the art of influence, because the ability to shape the decisions and perceptions of others without them realizing it is the ultimate form of power. Influence is not about force, coercion, or loud persuasion. It is subtle, strategic, and often invisible. People act according to what they believe is their own choice, but skilled influencers guide those choices by framing situations, asking the right questions, and presenting options that lead naturally to the desired outcome. This requires deep understanding of human psychology, including motivations, fears, and desires, so that you can anticipate reactions and craft interactions that feel effortless and organic. Influence works best when combined with credibility, calm authority, and consistency. If people trust your judgment, they are more likely to follow your guidance willingly. Timing, phrasing, and selective information are all critical. Too much pressure or transparency can trigger resistance, while subtle cues and indirect suggestions can guide decisions without alerting the other person to your strategy. Influence also leverages reciprocity, social proof, and emotional resonance because humans are wired to respond to patterns, approval, and validation from others. The goal is not manipulation for selfish gain, but strategic positioning that ensures outcomes align with your objectives while maintaining relationships and leaving others feeling respected and autonomous. By mastering influence, you can redirect conflicts, create alliances, and control the flow of decisions in your favor, all without confrontation or overt power displays. It amplifies every other rule: psychological leverage, emotional control, information advantage, and strategic patience. Because influence turns insight and awareness into tangible results. Those who understand influence can orchestrate situations so that even skilled opponents unknowingly act in ways that benefit them, making you the quiet architect of outcomes, the one who guides the unseen currents, and the strategist whose power lies not in force, but in subtle mastery of human behavior and choice. The sixth and final rule to outsmart anyone is creating the perception of control, because power is as much about what others believe as what you actually do. People respond not only to actions but to appearances, and when they perceive you as composed, confident, and in command, they instinctively defer, hesitate, or reveal their intentions. This rule is not about deception for its own sake, but about managing impressions strategically to maintain an advantage. The perception of control begins with posture, tone, and behavior. Calm composure in stressful situations signals authority. Measured speech conveys thoughtfulness, and deliberate actions communicate mastery. Beyond physical cues, it involves controlling the narrative, guiding conversations, and framing choices so that others feel they are acting independently, even as their decisions align with your objectives. Those who perceive you as in control are less likely to challenge you openly, more likely to reveal vulnerabilities, and more easily guided by subtle influence. It also reinforces all the other rules: information advantage, psychological leverage, emotional control, strategic patience, and influence are magnified when others assume you are always aware, deliberate, and untouchable. Maintaining this perception requires consistency and subtlety. Overplaying control or appearing manipulative can backfire, whereas understated authority generates trust and obedience without overt effort. By mastering the perception of control, you ensure that even unpredictable individuals or volatile situations respond predictably to your presence, giving you the ability to shape outcomes while remaining largely unchallenged. Ultimately, absolute power is not only about what you can do, but about what others believe you can do. When people see you as composed, calculating, and in command, they act in ways that reinforce your position, often without realizing it, allowing you to navigate conflicts, negotiations, and complex dynamics with quiet dominance, subtle influence, and near-invisible mastery. The seventh and often overlooked rule to outsmart anyone is mastering situational adaptability, because no strategy, however brilliant, works in every environment or with every person. Power belongs to those who can read the room, sense shifts in energy, and adjust their approach without losing composure or control. Situational adaptability is the ability to apply the previous 6 rules fluidly. Psychological leverage, information advantage, emotional control, strategic patience, influence, and the perception of control, tailoring them to the people, timing, and context at hand. It requires constant observation and flexibility. Rigid adherence to a single method is predictable and easily countered. By assessing moods, motivations, and environmental cues in real time, you can anticipate resistance, exploit opportunities, and guide outcomes with minimal effort. Adaptability also means knowing when to step back, accelerate, or even feign passivity, turning apparent weakness into strategic advantage. It allows you to pivot seamlessly when others make unexpected moves, ensuring you remain several steps ahead and that your influence continues uninterrupted. Mastering this rule requires humility, awareness, and the willingness to adjust tactics without compromising core objectives. Those who excel in adaptability can orchestrate complex interactions, manipulate perceptions subtly, and maintain authority even in unpredictable circumstances, making them virtually untouchable. In essence, situational adaptability transforms knowledge, influence, and patience into practical, actionable power, allowing you not only to anticipate outcomes, but to actively shape them, no matter the variables or challenges you face. It is the silent, dynamic force that makes the difference between knowing the rules and truly mastering them, giving you the ultimate edge in outsmarting anyone, anywhere, at any time. The eighth and final component to outsmart anyone is mastering the art of consolidation and execution, because knowing the rules is meaningless without applying them deliberately and consistently. All the insights, observations, and strategies you have learned, psychological leverage, information advantage, emotional control, strategic patience, influence, perception of control, and adaptability are tools that must be combined into coherent action. The key is sequencing and prioritizing. Identify which rule applies most strongly in any given situation and execute it with precision while maintaining awareness of all others. This stage requires discipline, focus, and a continuous feedback loop, observing results, adjusting strategies, and reinforcing successful patterns. Power is not static. It shifts with every decision, conversation, and interaction, so the one who consolidates knowledge into deliberate execution maintains the upper hand. Execution also means maintaining consistency in behavior and presence. Unpredictability in tactics is valuable, but unpredictability in character undermines trust and influence. By integrating all previous principles, you create a self-reinforcing system. Emotional control amplifies influence. Information advantage enhances psychological leverage. Strategic patience improves timing, and perception of control magnifies the effect of every action. The ultimate advantage comes from applying these principles seamlessly so that your influence feels natural, your power remains unseen, and others act in ways that align with your objectives without realizing it. Mastering consolidation and execution turns potential into results, theory into action, and knowledge into absolute strategic power. Those who can observe, anticipate, influence, and act with disciplined precision are not just outsmarting individuals. They are shaping entire environments, directing outcomes, and commanding situations in ways that feel inevitable to everyone around them. In short, power is not just about what you know or predict. It is about what you do with that knowledge, consistently, strategically, and invisibly.